God is exposing your friend. The secret they've hidden for years will stun you tonight. The night carries a tremble that refuses to explain itself, a hush that presses against the walls and waits. You can feel a slow turning inside the air, like a door that was closed for years beginning to creak open by its own weight. Something has decided that silence is finished and the truth is hungry. You sense a presence beside your name, the way a shadow clings to a flame even when the room grows bright. It steps closer with the certainty of footsteps you once knew, calm on the surface and burning underneath. The hour has arrived when hidden things refuse to hide. A familiar face floats up in your memory, smiling in old photographs and standing in celebrations, always warm and harmless. That face was a mask made from careful choices, stitched together by fear and advantage. Tonight the mask splits at the seam. You do not chase this moment, because the moment is already chasing you. It has your keys in its palm and your address in its pocket. It knows the weight of your trust and the price that was paid for it. Type Amen to get blessing 333. A sound cracks the evening like glass touched by a narrow truth. It echoes in a place behind your ribs where courage keeps the smallest lamp. The echo returns carrying a name you once defended without pause. A path unrolls inside your mind, a walkway built from memories that finally agree to cooperate. Each step clicks with a detail that once felt useless and now forms a sentence. That sentence will not be negotiated. You can see the pattern without straining, like constellations outlining their story the second your eyes soften. Gifts that vanished, messages that arrived late, favors that cost you more than they should. Small deals dressed as kindness and signed with a friendly laugh. Your heart exhales the burden of confusion because the lines are drawing themselves. The picture they complete is inconvenient and undeniable. The frame around it is tonight. Type Amen to get blessing 444. Long ago, a conversation ended with the words "Keep this between us," and you obeyed. You did not know that your silence would be used like a vault to store things never earned. You only wanted peace and peace wanted proof. The proof begins in an envelope that kept changing drawers, always close to where your friend could reach. It smelled of paper and ambition, and it thanked you without using your name. Signatures lived there that were never your handwriting. Your friend rehearsed innocence so carefully that innocence began to believe it belonged to them. They learned the choreography of concern and they performed it for you on difficult days. Every tilt of the head was a calculation hidden inside a hug. Time has strong shoulders when the truth wants a ride. It carried unspoken pieces across ordinary hours and placed them gently on your table. Tonight the pieces lift themselves and assemble into a key. Type Amen to get blessing 555. Archangel Michael says the hour has selected your doorway and the light will not be bargained. The veil is thin as a breath and stronger than a wall at the same time. Your steps will not collapse. A message blinks on a device that knew more than you realized, a message dragged out of hiding by relentless timing. It was sent to someone who thought screenshots would never betray them. The timestamp smiles like lightning that learned how to wait. Names you trust appeared in a chain that looked harmless until the purpose began to glow. Your friend organized favors in circles that surrounded you without touching you. They fed on the edge of your blessing like moths that learned to sing. Tonight the circle misses a step and stumbles, and the stumble becomes a confession. The confession did not intend to arrive, but truth does not consult intentions. Your peace was negotiated at a table where your chair was empty. Type Amen to get blessing 666. You remember the night you lent your voice to defend a story told by someone who held your friend's wrist. Your faith was used as currency and applause bought a moment of camouflage. That purchase is now returned without receipt. A door inside your friend's past opens to reveal a ledger written in favors, secrets, and soft threats. There are dates that match your low seasons and totals that rise whenever you rose. Your victories were taxed by hands that never admitted they were hungry. There were gifts purchased with your opportunities, wrapped beautifully and delivered elsewhere. The ribbon looked like gratitude, but the knot was power. What cost you years bought them minutes. Your friend adopted a tone that sounded like safety and practiced it until even mirrors agreed. That tone guided you away from calls you should have taken and steps you should have tried. It trained your doubt to wear your shoes. Type Amen to get blessing 777. A photograph appears in your memory that never felt odd until this minute. In the background stands your friend with a smile that does not touch the eyes. Beside them is a stranger whose name now echoes through your room. That stranger was introduced once as a helper who owed your friend a favor. The favor multiplied and found your address before it learned your number. Information about you became a map passed from pocket to pocket. A small kindness you offered years ago was resold for influence in a conversation that pretended you were present. Stories about your patience were shaped into proof that you would not notice. Every sigh you released became someone else's evidence. The logic that kept you quiet is now exhausted and done. Your breath no longer carries their burden. The air tastes different when a spell recognizes it has expired. Type Amen to get blessing 888. A relative you trusted reached out last week with a sentence that felt too heavy and then changed the subject. That sentence returns this evening with its full weight and stands on its own feet. It refuses to apologize for arriving late. Your friend visited places without telling you and used your name without your permission. Rooms opened because your history built the doorframe. They walked through while waving to strangers who were taught to believe the wave belonged to you. A plan lived beneath their smile like a basement designed to look like a foundation. It supported their ambitions by borrowing your light and charging your accounts in silence. The staircase down there was polished by the footsteps of excuses. A call log you forgot to check becomes a witness that never sleeps. Repetition becomes pattern, pattern becomes agenda, and agenda becomes confession. You are not chasing proof because proof is sprinting toward you. Type Amen to get blessing. 999 letters that never reached you were redirected by a hand that knew your schedule. They waited in the wrong mailbox until the moment they were no longer needed. Opportunity lost its way on streets your friend memorized. Your generosity was measured like rainfall and recorded by someone who never brought an umbrella. They walked through it smiling, then sold the forecast to others who wanted to picnic on your lawn. They learned the rhythm of your giving and choreographed withdrawals. Promises were made in your name at tables where you were praised for being so understanding. Your consent was imitated, your voice was approximated, and your boundaries were rumored. The performance bought them months. Tonight, rumor collapses under the weight of a single solid truth. The truth has your signature on it without your hand ever touching the pen. That is how exposure behaves when time is finished with delay. Type Amen to get blessing. 111. There is a box beneath a bed that holds the beginning of the end. Inside it live receipts with corners softened by years of survival. They smell like secrets that finally ran out of hiding places. A file on a laptop remembers passwords that were never yours and recycles phrases you only use in private. The mimicry is not perfect, and tonight the difference glows. That glow attracts attention that refuses to be redirected. Someone who owes you nothing decides to stand beside you because truth has its own gravity. Their message enters your evening like a key made of thunder. The lock hears it and unlocks itself. The algorithm of your life recalculates now that a false road is gone. The new route is shorter than regret and longer than pride. It meets you where you are and leads you where you belong. Type Amen to get blessing. 222. Archangel Michael says the secret unties its laces and falls off the feet that carried it. The footsteps that once walked confidently now learn humility. Your peace sharpens like a sword that belongs to daylight. More details arrive quietly, each one a small lamp setting a corridor on fire in the gentlest way. You see the first time they tested your boundary with a smile. You see the second time they measured your patience with a joke. By the third test, your heart ached but refused to make war. That refusal was used as proof that you would not notice missing pieces. Tonight your heart learns the difference between mercy and permission. The plans made without you built a staircase that ends at a wall. They kept climbing without looking up. Now they reach the wall and the wall does not move. Type Amen to get blessing. 3333. Your friend collected alliances like charms on a bracelet and showed them only when needed. Some were innocent and confused, others practiced, a few delighted by the performance. The bracelet jingled in quiet rooms and open drawers not meant for them. They spoke softly in places where you were respected, praising you in a way that weakened the edges of your authority. Compliments shaped like feathers can still slow a running bird. You felt the drag and blamed the wind. Work you built with midnight and morning was borrowed for introductions that never mentioned your labor. Those introductions multiplied in rooms you were never invited to enter. Your presence was convenient in stories and expensive in reality. Truth gathers all the borrowed pieces and lays them at your feet like a faithful messenger. The pile looks like a throne made of evidence. You sit without fear. Type Amen to get blessing 4444. You remember the day you almost confronted a detail and then chose to breathe instead. That breath was holy and it kept you safe until tonight. The confrontation arrives without fire and still burns beautifully. A notification lights your screen with a name you know and words that break the seal. The line between rumor and record vanishes. Screenshots become witnesses, not weapons. Someone in the circle writes, "I cannot do this anymore," and attaches proof. The attachment contains the bone of the story without any fat. You finally see the skeleton standing upright. Your soul does not tremble because truth feeds it. Your body relaxes because the chase is over. What stands revealed cannot be unrevealed. Type Amen to get blessing 5555. There is money counted in columns where your contribution was labeled air. That label peels off when the lamp touches it. Underneath the label is your name written clearly. There are opportunities delayed because your calendar was altered in tiny, strategic ways. A nudge here, a late message there, a suggestion that sounded wise. Those nudges formed a net to catch your progress. You feel grief for the time stolen and compassion for the poverty that chose theft over confession. Grief and compassion do not weaken you. They restore your alignment. You breathe and the room expands by inches that feel like miles. The night opens its hand and returns what it held. The exchange is clean. Type Amen to get blessing 6,666. People who once laughed easily with your friend feel a new chill when they hear the updates. The chill is integrity entering the room wearing no disguise. It takes a seat and expects honesty. Your friend tries to gather the old smile and finds it heavy. The grin resists because borrowed light has learned where to live. It prefers the rightful owner. Apologies ripple through the network with phrases crafted to save face. The craft is clever but the timing is late. Late apologies are still road signs, not destinations. You do not become a judge and you do not become a fool. You become a gatekeeper of your own peace with hands steady and eyes awake. Your boundaries grow roots. Type Amen to get blessing 7777. You are guided to pause before you speak because the truth needs no companion noise. A simple sentence carries more thunder than a storm of emotion. You choose clarity over performance. Your records organize themselves, as if pages in a book decided they prefer the right order. Clarity is a librarian that never loses patience. Everything returns to its shelf. Those who benefited from the confusion shift their weight and adjust their stories. Adjustments are small and visible. Silence becomes their mirror. You stand where you are and the ground agrees with you. Your past reaches forward and shakes your hand as if to say well done. The handshake is a promise kept. Type Amen to get blessing 8888. There is a place in you that loved your friend sincerely, and that place deserves honor. Honor does not ignore harm, it simply refuses to hate itself for having loved. That refusal is a shield that glows. You picture a future built without the quiet leaks and secret taxes. The blueprint looks lighter by entire seasons. You can feel the weight difference even before the first brick moves. Support approaches from new corners because truth attracts architects. They bring tools and calm voices, not gossip and fog. They measure twice and cut once. The next door opens because you finally have both hands free. You step through without apology. The air on the other side is clean. Type Amen to get blessing 9999. Archangel Michael says the exposure is not punishment, it is surgery that removes rot and keeps the limb. The wound breathes and begins to heal under light that does not blink. Your steps are guarded. The friend who hid the secret for years now faces the mirror they avoided. The mirror is firm and fair. It shows what it shows and invites change. Your task is not to carry their lesson across the river. Your task is to carry your peace across the river. You do so without dropping a single drop. The river respects the one who walks in truth and adjusts its current to honor clean feet. You feel the current soften around your ankles. Forward becomes natural again. Type Amen to get blessing 1010. You collect the documents and memories and messages into a single quiet folder. That folder is not a weapon, it is a record. Records protect peace when storms try to reintroduce confusion. The morning will arrive with a softness that tonight did not have. That is how seasons change when the harvest is honesty. You will taste the difference as surely as a new fruit on the same tree. Some bridges will remain suspended without traffic until both sides learn new rules. Other bridges will be rebuilt with better wood and stronger nails. You will know which is which by the way your chest feels when you approach. Your room holds a silence that is finally your own. It feels like a blanket just pulled from sunlight. You wrap yourself in it without asking permission. Type Amen to get blessing 1111. A final piece slides into place from an unexpected ally who only loves truth. The piece is small and decisive. It closes the story you needed closed. You do not replay the worst scenes like a theater that never turns off its lights. You choose the frame where your dignity stands tall and healthy. That frame becomes the cover of the book you carry forward. You bless the younger version of you who trusted and stayed soft. That softness survived, and it is now guarded by wisdom sharper than any lie. This is not loss, this is inventory. Your future opens like a window that was painted shut and finally pried free. Air rushes in and you smile. Breathing becomes a ceremony. Type Amen to get blessing. 12:12 conversation scheduled for later. Arrive with truth at the table first. You do not need to raise your voice because the documents speak with steady volume. Calm is your attorney and grace is your translator. You do not owe an audience to every explanation that knocks. You owe attention to your peace and stewardship to your purpose. This choice builds a fence that does not imprison you. New connections approach with quiet hands and honest eyes. They do not smell of strategy or hunger. They smell of early morning and clean water. You will sleep differently tonight because you are finally sleeping with the lights on inside. Nothing in that light can harm you. Everything in that light can heal you. Type Amen to get blessing. 13:13 The days ahead will show small miracles disguised as practical outcomes. Files will surface easily and doors will open smoothly. People you forgot to count will stand up and be counted. You will notice how laughter changes when it is not paying rent to fear. It becomes rounder and louder and freer. It lands in your chest and nests there. The friend who hid the secret may find their knees and learn a language called truth. That language is spoken slowly by beginners and understood quickly by the healed. You are already fluent in what matters. Nothing was wasted because everything trained your discernment. Discernment walks with you now like a faithful lion that loves your softness. You are not hard and you are not naive. Type Amen to get blessing. 14:14 You gather your spirit and tell it the story in the simplest possible way. We saw what needed to be seen. We received what needed to be received, we are safe. Your spirit nods and the nod becomes a covenant. From this night forward, you do not shrink your light to make room for someone else's shadow. You share your light with those who treat light with respect. Respect becomes your atmosphere. Your purpose steps closer as if it was waiting just beyond the veil of confusion. It takes your hand and leads you toward work that pays you in more than coins. It pays you in clarity and sleep. The season of hidden drains is ended. The season of intentional rivers has begun. You are already standing at the water's edge with a cup that never leaks. Type Amen to get blessing. 15:15 Archangel Michael says your path is sealed with a protection that does not dim. The exposure was a doorway, not a destination. Walk through and do not look back unless wisdom asks. Tonight, the secret that tried to dwarf your future has been reduced to its correct size. It is a lesson you can carry with one hand while your other hand builds. The build will be beautiful. Your heart recognizes itself in the mirror and smiles without hesitation. The smile belongs to someone who survived with grace and now thrives with authority. Authority fits you. The friend is no longer a gate between you and the next chapter. The gate was paper dressed as iron, and the rain finally told the truth. You step beyond it with the calm of someone who knows. The room is steady now, like a stage after the curtain falls and the truth keeps echoing behind it. You can hear your own breathing choosing a kinder rhythm than before. The night accepts your decision and stands guard at the threshold. Your phone rests face down as if it understands its work is complete for this chapter. Proof does not need to keep shouting once it has been heard. Silence becomes a companion instead of a threat. A notification from an ally arrives with a short summary and a clean attachment. The summary aligns with what you already know and the attachment seals it without drama. You feel the last loose thread slide into your hand. In that moment, relief arrives without apology and lays its head on your shoulder. You do not perform strength because strength is already present. The house exhales like it has been waiting for this permission. Type Amen to get blessing. 1717 morning starts to whisper even though the clock insists it is still night. Clarity sometimes runs ahead of sunrise and sets its own lamp. You follow the lamp because it knows your name. You gather documents into a folder labeled with dignity instead of anger. Dignity files faster than rage and makes fewer mistakes. Each page lands softly as if guided by an unseen clerk. Your boundaries rewrite the rules of the room without raising their voice. Doors remain open for kindness and close smoothly against manipulation. The hinges no longer squeal because truth is good oil. You notice how your shoulders have lowered by inches you did not measure before. Your face feels different when it is not carrying someone else's mask. Even your footsteps sound like a new sentence. Type Amen to get blessing. 1818 messages arrive from people who believed the performance and now wish to believe the record. You allow the record to speak and keep your heart unentangled. Forgiveness grows on its own schedule and you honor the soil. Opportunities that were delayed begin to circle back as if guided by a gentle magnet. The doors they knock on are stronger now and the locks are set to wisdom. You answer with calm confidence and clear terms. Your generosity changes shape from unguarded river to intentional canal. Water still flows but it does not flood. The banks are lined with stone and the stone remembers your lessons. A memory surfaces of a day you nearly lost your favorite part of yourself. You place a hand over your chest and thank that part for surviving. It brightens like a lantern that refuses to be dimmed. Type Amen to get blessing. 1919 Someone from the old circle types a confession that lands like rain on hot ground. Steam rises, then clears. The horizon looks sharper after the clearing. You listen, you document, you choose distance without cruelty. Distance can be love for the self and instruction for the other. The path forward is marked by gentle, unmistakable signs. Your schedule gets lighter without losing importance. Tasks line up with meaning instead of fear. Work feels like alignment instead of rescue. News travels to places you will never visit, correcting stories you did not chase. You are not responsible for every ear that hears and every mouth that speaks. You are responsible for the integrity of your own breath. Type Amen to get blessing. 2020 A small refund arrives from an account you stopped expecting to balance. Numbers apologize in their own quiet arithmetic. The ledger tilts toward fairness and holds. You sort keepsakes with a new honesty that does not erase your past. What is sacred remains, what is heavy learns the door. The space you create invites better furniture. Your sleep deepens like a lake that has finally stopped swallowing stones. Dreams step out of hiding and bring practical ideas. You wake with notes worth keeping. A message for collaboration lands with timing that feels designed. The proposal respects your boundaries and celebrates your skill. You agree in principle and let the details arrive at a humane pace. Type Amen to get blessing. 2121 You update passwords, keys, and quiet agreements with yourself. Security becomes a kindness you extend to your own future. The future nods appreciatively and moves closer. An old photograph that once felt painful becomes a document of growth. You are not the same person who stood in that frame. The new you smiles at the old you with gratitude. The friend who hid the secret is now learning how gravity works when truth returns. Gravity is firm, not cruel. It teaches balance to feet that once ran on borrowed air. You choose to invest in relationships that breathe like gardens instead of machines. Gardens require presence, not performance. The harvest follows rhythm and care. Type Amen to get blessing 2222. A call with a mentor reveals doors you did not know existed. They were waiting for the sound of your clarity. Clarity knocks differently than desperation and is welcomed faster. You arrange a meeting where boundaries are written with calm ink. Expectations gather like well-behaved guests and take their seats. The room feels intelligent and kind. Documents are signed in daylight, aligned to values you can say out loud. Nothing in the fine print leans against your spirit. Transparency becomes a habit you enjoy. Your calendar sprouts white space that looks like invitation instead of emptiness. Rest becomes part of your strategy, not a guilty accident. In rest, your purpose climbs to a higher branch. Type Amen to get blessing 2323. A small celebration finds you at your own table with a cup that tastes like relief. You toast the part of you that stayed soft without staying blind. The toast lands gently and does not spill. Messages from new supporters carry sincerity instead of spectacle. They speak in sentences that match their actions. You recognize this language because you speak it too. The city outside hums with familiar noise while your interior world redesigns itself. Walls shift by inches and the light reaches corners it never reached. Even the floor sounds new beneath your steps. You realize the secret once felt larger than life because it lived in the dark. In the light it is only a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. You are standing in the last paragraph and writing the next chapter's title. Type Amen to get blessing 2424. You commit to routines that honor your strength without punishing your softness. Morning pages, evening walks, quiet check-ins with truth. The rituals gather into a spine that holds your day. Care returns to you from unexpected places, shaped like small favors and kind words. You receive them without suspicion. Receiving well is part of healing well. Your laughter finds a deeper register and stays a little longer after it arrives. It vibrates through rooms that once held worry. People notice and relax beside you. A message of accountability arrives from someone who once cheered the wrong performance. Accountability is a bridge they chose to build. You decide how to step on it and how far to go. Type Amen to get blessing 2525. The map ahead shows two clear roads where fog once pretended there was only one. Choosing does not hurt. You pick the road that respects your pace and your peace. Opportunities now introduce themselves with proof instead of promises. Proof is polite and on time. You smile and set the meeting. The friend's name fades from daily conversations and returns to the correct size. Lessons remain without carrying their face. Wisdom is lighter than resentment and lasts longer. You store the record safely and then return to your life. The record protects, the life expands. Balance feels like a language you were always meant to speak. Type Amen to get blessing 2626. Your creativity, once interrupted by doubt, begins to flow like a river that remembers its path. Ideas arrive with both wings and roots. You start building without the old leaks hidden in the floor. People who value your work show it in ways that feel honest. They honor your rates, your time, and your boundaries. The exchange is clean and bright. You say yes with clarity and no with kindness. Both words fit your mouth comfortably. Your calendar thanks you. The evening settles again, this time without the tremble that used to live in the walls. Peace has moved in with its furniture. It pays every bill on time. Type Amen to get blessing 2727. You do a final walkthrough of your memories and switch off lights in rooms you no longer need. The main hall stays luminous. Everything essential stays warm. Gratitude gathers around you like soft weather that understands your skin. It does not erase what happened. It simply uplifts what remains. You choose to bless your path without shrinking the truth. Blessing and clarity can hold hands. They walk beside you with steady steps. The night that promised revelation has delivered fully. Your spirit files the page and turns softly to what comes next. The page does not stick. Type Amen to get blessing 2820.